Welcome to another edition of Pittsburgh Sportsline. This is our live Tuesday night show. Thanks for watching and tuning in on Comcast 7 in Bethel Park, only in Bethel Park, Verizon 32, which is in Bethel Park, plus everywhere else, from Nemacolin up to Cranberry and Wexford. Saw a couple friends out in the North Hills, and they said they've watched our show. So thanks for watching us. We appreciate it. Thanks for the big fan club. We got the Market District, my girl Renee, Jim, the other guys, Gary was there, and Renee said she's looking for you during the holidays, Chip.
Hey, if they got the lobster tank filled, I'll be up.
She's hoping to see you again. That's what she said. She goes, I remember the last time and first time I met him. So We'll see what happens there.
Getting our New Year's lobsters.
Definitely. Al Levine, the talking machine. We got Chip, the Prophet Hayner, Smoking Jim Frazier. He was on time. And if you see him eating, it's because Olive Oil's Pizzeria gave us a little sample hoagie. So we have hoagies. I don't know if I can pull up, Devin, can you pull up a close-up of Olive Oil's Pizzeria?
Probably.
That might be the best. So he let us run free here. We're by ourselves in the studio. We got 3 cameras on us. And call 412-831-1900 and ask for Jeff. He made our pizza and hoagie tonight, so thanks a lot. On Facebook, we hit a brand new high. We cracked that 5,000 mark, so thanks for that. But we're now at 5,024 likes. So thank you very much. Officially, that was in 2 years and 8 months, so we appreciate that. Even though the show's been on for 4 years, I only put us on Facebook a couple years ago. So thanks for liking and watching our page and our TV show everywhere. We start our first segment out with What's on Your Mind, and we're going to do that right now. Smoking Jim, you ready?
Yes, sir.
What's on your mind?
Thanks, Al Levine, the talking machine. And if you want the green,
We're a little further apart this week.
you got to see Levine. I got my feet in like the giant wide receiver.
Which one?
They only got one wide receiver, I think. But what's on my mind is the Pittsburgh Sportsline Player of the Week. And I always like to start off with the honorable mention. Honorable mention got to go to Ronnie Jones from Central Catholic. Ran for 134 yards on 16 carries. But the Player of the Week got to go back-to-back week to Kazon Pugh from Aliquippa. 27 carries, 157 yards, 2 touchdowns. Also had an interception return for a touchdown. And the Pittsburgh Sportsline Team of the Week, honorable mention goes to Central Catholic for their 24-7 victory over Cumberland Valley. Second runner-up goes to Aliquippa with a 30-21 victory. And the Pittsburgh Sportsline Team of the Week has to go to the mighty Gateway Gators basketball team that beat Penn Hills 58-44. Gateway,
I don't have a flag on the play.
Gateway is 6-0 this year in basketball.
Hey, Smoking Jim, there's a flag on the play.
They start, and I've been telling people all season long, I should call them Golden State Gators. They start 5 white kids this year on the basketball team, and I think they're the best team, Quad A team. They're Quad A in basketball. I think they're the best team in the WPIL, but I'm a little upset. Probably one of their best players is a 6'5" black kid named Alden Howard. He's got a football scholarship in Virginia. Super athletic guy, but he's concentrating on football and didn't play basketball this year, so I'll never mention his name again. I think he's letting down his team and his school. But despite him not playing basketball, I still think this Gateway team, they can really shoot the three. So congratulations to Gateway for not only beating Penn Hills, but beating a Shafino.
Wow. Smoking
well.
Jim, go ahead, Chip, you first.
Did you help sweep up the confetti after the ticker tape parade?
In Monroeville. I have a problem, Smoking Jim. I know you do the Hall of Fame and you haven't revealed the Pittsburgh Sportsline Hall of Fame. You haven't revealed what your criteria is. But this was football season. So I have to vote against it if I have any vote.
It's basketball.
Oh, you don't understand. You said it was during the football season, one team. Now I've had complaints. They go, there's honorable mention, then there's second honorable mention, then there's a third team.
You know what? And far be it from me to bring any rain on Jim's parade.
Right.
But I think Plum's ranked number 1 in the Quad A right now.
And the coach got suspended.
We know. Somehow you were in the
Can't yell at the
stands.
kids anymore.
You were
Come
in the
on.
stands and he was yelling at you, I heard. That's what happened.
Well,
You went to see it. But Smoking Jim, we're going to have a new segment. Football, Pittsburgh Sportsline football team. And then if you're going to do basketball season, Gateway is
no,
officially banned.
we could switch that. We could do it football fact, basketball fiction.
Yeah, but that's his later segment. But Gateway is officially banned from Pittsburgh Sportsline. And I'm going to use a baseball metaphor for batting out of order. That's it. That's a ruling. I got to play commissioner like Judge Landis, and we will talk some baseball later on. Smoking Jim, it's always one of our most interesting segments.
Thank you, sir.
And you didn't even have anything to eat, so your sugar levels must have been out of whack. So I know next week you'll come back and give us that football team that's number 1 on Pittsburgh Sportsline. Because you did hold it. Now, can we roll that tape back, Devin? Didn't he mention football players, player of the week? All right, he's in the penalty box. Let's move forward. Chip Hayner. I'm just shocked, but what's on your mind?
What's on my mind? Well, I'm going to touch on one thing first. The first thing on my mind, and then I'm sure Alan and I will have something to say about the subject a little later on in one of our segments.
No doubt.
But for once, my congratulations to the Commissioner of Baseball. One of the commissioners of the major sports has finally got it right. Pete Rose will not be back into Major League Baseball, is still banned for life, and there will be no revisiting of that. So, hey, everything that's happened to Pete Rose, he did it to himself. He deserves it all. So,
Wait till we tell Smoking Jim what he did.
but if you want to know what's on my mind, I think, we were talking about this last week. Is about the underachieving Pittsburgh Penguins. And, the team is just, it's laughable the way the team's been playing. So, of course, the players, once again, have decided to lay down and get the head coach fired, which is, a little trick that Mr. Crosby learned from his mentor and partial owner of the team, who seemed to be the master of making coaches come and go. So now we've got a new head coach. Now, I fault the Pittsburgh Penguins management for the mismanagement of this team, the direction it's going in, and actually taking a team that they thought was worth $750 million, but is only really worth $550 million, and the price is going to keep going down. And then, just to give you an example of what kind of foolishness these people, they don't want to own the team anymore. It's obvious. They're trying to sell it. Okay, Ron Burkle wants out. Mario Lemieux, when was the last time anybody saw him? They haven't, okay? He doesn't even want to be around the team. So here's what my point is, okay? So they hire Mike Johnston to be head coach, and he's allowed to bring in one assistant. Now, other than Mike Tomlin, I have never seen a coach that was ever told that these are your staff. The head coach usually hires his own staff. So Mike Johnston gets fired, and the only other coach that gets fired is the only one that he brought with him and hired. Okay?
Poor Agnew.
Now, this leads me to Rick Tocchet. Rick Tocchet is a fan favorite in Pittsburgh. Toughest guy I've ever seen play hockey. Played hockey with a broken jaw. Wow. The guy was a Stanley Cup champion Penguins team. Just an overall tough guy. His one and only responsibility was the power play. The Pittsburgh Penguins, with all the highest priced talent in the league, have the worst power play I have ever seen. And what the new head coach said, it seems like they're insistent on passing the puck into the net. Nobody's shooting it. So how does he keep his job, okay, when the head coach gets fired and his number 1 assistant gets fired? here's a thought. Maybe when you fire the coach, you just clean house and bring in a whole new band. So they bring in a new coach, and he's stuck with Rick Tocchet as an assistant coach. Now, Rich Tockett's no longer in charge of the power play. So what's he doing there? I think they say he's scouting 5-on-5, which basically means he's getting paid to watch hockey games and not much of anything else. So this is all because this is Mario's buddy. This is not good for the franchise. And, you've got a new coach in that comes in, and he's supposed to be a hardline kind of a guy, take no guff from anybody. Last night didn't start off well for him, but, you can't expect miracles in a day or two. But, I would have had some more respect for the Pittsburgh Penguins if the general manager, Mike Rutherford, would stand up to these players, if he'd have said to them, okay, the coach that you guys didn't like is gone. Now here's what's going to happen. This new coach is going to lay down the law. You guys are going to abide by it and produce. And if you don't, you're going to be gone, not him. I would like to see that kind of an attitude taken with these overpriced bums that are skating in our Consol Energy Center. But maybe I'm being a little bit too critical, but I'm a very frustrated Penguins fan. But that's what's on my mind.
Wow.
I thought Bounceman was still coach.
Have you watched a hockey game?
Yeah, he is in Buffalo.
Well, guys, we have another interesting situation here. Something happened in the studio. This isn't being broadcast right now. So, Devin, I don't know if we need guidance, if we should stop. Did Dave get in here and will he give us an okay? Because if we're not, I know. Just keep going. Is it being recorded somehow? No. It's being recorded?
Good.
All right, great. I'm glad to hear that. He can cut this out on the next part when he does it. Well, I'm glad that great start with both of us and all three of us and me ruling Smoking Jim in the penalty box. But Chip, you were spot on with what you said. I've been thinking that and seeing it. That's not what's on my mind, though.
Good.
What's on my mind is Tomlin is not really a head coach. He's a cheerleader. He has great players, and without Big Ben, like Smoking Jim and Chip have said, we wouldn't be anywhere. What happened at the beginning of the game, it sounded like kids playing in, I'll try to be respectful, 8th grade, not 6th grade. He said something to me, they said something to me, and then all of a sudden he's not going to go over what he said, she said stuff today. It's laughable. I rarely listen to when he does his little after the game talk the next day, because you don't get anything, you don't learn anything. All you have to do is watch the games. If you think he's the greatest coach, I respect your opinion. If you think he's the worst coach, I respect your opinion. Me, you know where I stand on it. I said he's the only coach in history that never brought his assistants. Chip alluded to that. And look what happens now. We had Joey Porter, who I was a fan of him as a player. I never saw this in my life. I saw Gay on his knees, dancing across the sidelines, on the sidelines, and Joey Porter coming after him. Now, we're talking about a tradition of winning. If you tell me that that's something, a classy thing, and we're showing them up or whatever we're doing, intimidating them, I spit some green tea out, and I hate to waste my green tea. But I've never, in any sport, seen the coaches and the players like they're little kids. Now, I know it's a child's game. I always say it's a great blessing if you can play professional sports, be one of 1,600 players, best in the world, and you get paid, but it's a kid's game. And a lot of people say it, but I didn't think that we would become childlike, because they are adults. They're all over 18. And look what happens. Yeah, the Steelers won. Everybody in Pittsburgh thinks we're going to the Super Bowl, except for one thing. Well, not everybody, but you got to win out. That's what you have to do. You have to win out. They're all must games, and the playoffs did start for us. But I just want to know where the coaches are, and I'm not even getting on Haley with some of his calls. When plays are working, he all of a sudden changes it up. And it works because of the players. D'Angelo Williams, I got to take my hat off him. All over the league, they were telling him he was done, couldn't do anything anymore. He said he learned something from Le'Veon Bell. So I give him all the credit in the world. He's much smarter as a running back. He takes his time now. And then he still has the speed. There's an MVP there. Of course, Ben's the MVP. I don't know who to decide. But that's what's on my mind. That let's be like kids. I can't wait till it rains and there's mud. We can play in a mud puddle. Go Steelers. Go Penguins. Go Buccos. Not Gateway. That's what's on my mind. All right, we got to start our segments here. And our first one up, Smoking Jim, did you get to eat enough?
Yes, sir. It was delicious.
Because I thought that hoagie fell on the floor, but it looked like you crushed that
That was best hoagie I ever ate.
today.
You never had a hoagie before.
Today.
Never had one of them hoagies.
Olive Oil's Pizzeria strikes
I never had
again.
a hoagie before, but boy, that was good.
And you're teasing poor Jack. Come in here. He's on the
He's
on the camera.
We say pizza for
Yeah, but he can't get it. He's on camera.
That's all right.
This isn't right. I'll throw one to him. Hand it to me.
That's a heated box there.
All right, we have a lot of fiction. Let's get the fiction and fact with Smoking Jim's Almanac.
Thanks, hell of the talking machine. But to go back to your what's on your mind, I've never seen a coach go on his knees and crawl over and then just bump
then
whatever
hug
they
him.
do.
And then-
Since you're saying it, you know what bothers me? I actually think they practiced that.
They had to. They had to know it was
Now,
coming.
do you think that was choreographed?
That's even worse.
They probably do not.
No, I know, I agree, but
I'm
that's
sure they're doing that in practice instead of having these guys try to cover.
Well, that's
somebody.
what they do instead of suiting them up in pads.
But the
And
whole
hitting each
thing
every
is,
Tuesday.
and I know we'll go back over this in the Steelers section, but they got mad because Burfict supposedly celebrated because he made a great tackle on Le'Veon Bell. And that's all the Steelers do.
every play.
Is celebrate great plays, you know.
Yeah, but I mean, he celebrated a play where he got 8 yards positive. It wasn't even a tackle behind the line.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, man. If you're going to celebrate, don't you think you should be worth celebrating?
Well, at least stop them, or maybe knock them back for a yard.
Correct me if I'm wrong. He gets paid to tackle people, right? So when he tackles somebody, is he not just doing his job? I don't know. Maybe I'm.
What's the
You're
saying?
old school. That's passe.
And Harrison gets paid to make tackles, but when he knocked out 2 players from Cleveland Browns, Steelers celebrated that. Greg Lloyd counted Al Toon out 1, 2, 3, along with Thomas Everett, and but it's okay if Pittsburgh does it. But anyhow, let's get to the
No,
fiction and fact.
You're right. Spot on. Next, move on.
But like we used to say back in the my dad used to say back in the days when they said they had criminal element in National Football
Don't say
League was
that.
the Oakland Raiders.
Atkinson.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my dad was a huge Steeler fan, but he was like the Steelers are just as but when the Steelers do it, it's good football. When other teams do it, it's bad. But anywho,
Good point, Smoking Jim. You're so observant. And what's this fiction and fact from
fiction
Smoking
and
Jim's
fact from
Almanac?
Smoking Jim's Almanac will be very quick today. But
Why?
Most people down at Altoona is next week for the championships. Congratulations again to Aliquippa and Central Catholic, the 2 representatives, and good season, TJ and Clarendon.
You did say Clarendon.
Yeah, good
Please
season.
let Smoking Jim
Yeah,
visit
through clenched
downtown
teeth.
Clarendon.
Through clenched teeth.
Yeah, happy they're out. But most people in the WPIL would, if they asked you who was the greatest WPIL teams of all time, most people probably say the 1986 Gateway Gators that were state champs and number 3 in the state. A lot
You
of
mean the
people
nation.
in the nation.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. A lot of people would say the 1987 North Hills team that was national champions.
Yeah, why wouldn't
The McKeesport team in 1994 with Brandon Short was a great state champion. But in the words of Roberto Clemente, who used to say, for me, the greatest team I ever seen in WPIL history was the 1995 Penn Hills High School team. That their offensive line averaged over 300 pounds. That particular year, they were bigger than the Steelers and Pitt's offensive line, led by DeMond Gibson. They had 2 1,000-yard, 1,500-yard rushers, Both their tailbacks alternated. Both of them went over 1,500 yards for the year. I went to see them from the first game on. The first game, they played a junior running back from North Hills by the name of LeVar Arrington. And LeVar Arrington was a parade All-American running back in high school. First play of the game, Arrington went 80 yards for a touchdown. Didn't get 100 yards total for the game. The defense was outstanding, and they only threw the ball maybe once or twice a game, and they just totally dominated. Went and watched them down Three River Stadium win the WPIL. Then I went to Altoona to watch them play, and many of the players even went on to play the Big 33 game that year in Hershey, and I went to that too and followed a lot of them throughout their Pitt career as well that started off at Pitt Stadium. But fiction and fact from Smoking Jim's Almanac. Best team maybe in WPIL history, the 1995 20-year anniversary. Penn Hills Indians were outstanding.
How many members of that team made it for the NFL?
I tell you, the best player on the team and the greatest chance to make the NFL, he was a starter as a freshman for Johnny Majors at Pitt, was 300-pound DeMond Gibson. And then the sophomore year, Walt Harris came in, and he played a little bit, but I don't think any of the players made it to the NFL. Just to show you how tough it is to make it.
Well, it is.
To the National Football League.
It is. I mean, there's only 1,600 jobs available, and there's probably 160,000 that play football. So
I mean, that '87 North Hills team that won the national championship, I don't think anybody off of that team made it. And being that it was an all-white team, the cornerbacks didn't make it. And I'm still upset. I'm gonna start a reality show. The NFL needs some white cornerbacks. I'm against discrimination, even reverse discrimination. There's some good white cornerbacks out there, and they're not being allowed to play at the highest level.
Smoking Jim, I'm so proud of you to come back strong after that, but I have to ask you, you're a known gambler. You're a known
professional.
Well, professional.
And he's never gambled on baseball.
Right. And you're also, you've been a member of many committees that puts people into the Hall of Fame.
Yes, sir.
And you have usually the deciding vote. Are you involved with the WPIAL at all?
Voting for the WPIAL? I mean, Hall of Fame, not yet.
Okay, because I just wanted to know that on air, because you've never talked this great about Penn Hills.
This
Okay.
is all part of it.
Yeah, and,
This is all part.
and you're also trying to
This
balance
is mea
out.
culpa.
Yeah. Don't explain what mea culpa is to him. But
I don't ever
this may explain why you're so overboard with basketball during a football segment, because you did not redeem yourself on Pittsburgh Sportsline. I mean, we're trying to run a serious show where we educate people.
But he had to start it out with a gateway victory over
Basketball.
Penn Hills. Yeah, with a gateway victory.
Chip, you see where I'm
over
going
Penn
with
Hills.
this? That's why.
Yeah.
That's why he is in the penalty box again. I don't know what it exactly means, but when I figure it out for the next
I'm
show,
wearing Penn Hills red.
I know you got Pittsburgh Sportsline on it, so I appreciate you supporting. But this show, like children and young adults, older folks that think we're very smart, just watch. You don't want to be like Smoking Jim and get caught 3 times in less than 20 minutes. I mean, he couldn't even pull the wool over all of our eyes here. Smoking Jim, that was one of your most interesting segments,
Thank you,
and it
sir.
seemed to be one of your most factual ones, but I'm checking the film on all that gateway stuff. So we're researching. Chip, let's go to trivia time.
Okay, Alan, thank you very much. And last week, I posed a question that I didn't know the answer to. Told you I'd give you the answer this week. So the answer to that trivia question is the Steelers have won 430 regular season games since the AFL-NFL merger in 1970. Tops in the league. Which team was second with 415? The Denver Broncos.
Really?
Coming to town this
Never
week.
would have thought that.
See,
Wow.
they know. Well, you forget about the Orange Crush teams of the mid '70s. What was his name? Red Miller, or Craig Morton played in the Super Bowl, got beat by Dallas.
That's right.
Didn't he
Good
not?
point. They
That
won
is-
a lot
that
of
is
games,
correct.
yeah.
Yes, they did. Okay, so moving
Chip.
forward, to speak to the Whippeals. Now, Jim proudly mentioned the fact that Aliquippa and Central Catholic will be playing for the state title this weekend in Hershey, not Altoona. Central Catholic are the only two Whippeal teams that will play for the PIAA championships. Central Catholic meets Parkland. Both teams are 14-1. Quad A championship at 6 p.m. in Hershey Stadium. Aliquippa, 15-0, plays Southern Columbia at noon Saturday in Hershey. Since the PIAA championship started in 1988, this is only the 7th time that only two Whippeal teams have made the finals. Only one team made it twice, 1989 and 2011. Three teams have made it 11 times. 4 teams have made it 8 times. So let's wish our local teams good luck this weekend. And also, Jim mentioned a young man from Aliquippa, Kayson Pugh, is having a pretty phenomenal high school career. He will be playing for the University of Pittsburgh next fall. Aliquippa's Kayson Pugh has 4,878 career yards on 513 carries. He needs 122 yards to become the 17th runner in WPIAL history to rush for 5,000 yards, and the 3rd from Aliquippa. The thing is about what this kid's accomplished this year, he's become the workhorse of the Aliquippa offense the final half of the season, mainly because Aliquippa isn't blowing out everybody. In the first 7 games, Pugh only averaged 10 carries a game for a meager 109 yards rushing per game. In the past 8, he has averaged 23 carries for 184 yards a game. So as the season goes on, he just keeps getting better and better, and I think he's going to run Aliquippa to another state title. So I just wanted to make sure that we mentioned that right there. Now also, Alan took our friend Mike Tomlin to task.
Oh.
And 2 things happened on Sunday that will go in the Steelers record book. The Pittsburgh Steelers have become the only team in the NFL to have 3 head coaches to win a minimum of 90 games. Mike Tomlin won his 90th game on Sunday. And now the Steelers have 3 head coaches with a minimum of 90 wins. Mike Tomlin with 90, Bill Cowher with 155. And
149.
161.
No, 149 regular season games, and Noel has 193. That was a pet peeve of mine to see what they had done.
Okay, and Charles Henry Noel didn't quite make it to 200, but if you count all the playoff wins, it's 200 in my book every day. Yeah. But that just goes to show you that these are the last 3 head coaches of the Pittsburgh Steelers. And, the one thing that we as Steeler fans have been notorious for doing, we booed Bradshaw, and now we look back, and he's a Hall of Fame quarterback, and he wins 4 Super Bowls. Matter of fact, 1974 season, Bradshaw got benched for Jefferson Street Joe Gillum.
Yeah.
Before Gillum lost his job and Bradshaw came back, took the team to their first world championship, and it was the defense that won that championship, not Bradshaw. But, then people booed Chuck Noll after 4 Super Bowls. People couldn't wait for Chuck Noll to be shown the door. And then Bill Cowher came in, the next savior of the franchise. And people booed and complained and badmouthed Bill Cowher up and down. His his clock management was horrible, just like every other coach in the NFL. And then finally, after winning a Super Bowl in Bill Cowher's last year, the Pittsburgh fans just couldn't wait to show him the door. So Bill Cowher got shown the door.
After 8-8, he wasn't great.
Mike Tomlin comes in, and what have we done ever since? The guy's been here. This is his 9th season. He's won 90 games. You do the math. The guy's a successful head football coach. You don't get much better than that in the NFL, and all we do is we criticize him. Here's what's funny. When they do well and they win like last weekend, nobody says anything. The minute he makes a bad decision, he needs to be fired. He didn't
you have
deserve
to watch a game with me, my friend. The same criticism is there, win or lose.
I hear you.
Because that's how much better we can be. I couldn't hold it back. Sorry, Chip.
So we've got 3 head coaches with a minimum of 90 wins, the only team in the NFL for that to have happened. I think that's a notable achievement. Also, Antonio Brown became the 6th player in NFL history with 3 consecutive 100-catch seasons. He joined the illustrious crew of Marvin Harrison, who has 4, Jerry Rice, Herman Moore, Brandon Marshall, Wes Welker, each had 3 seasons of 100-plus catches, and now Antonio Brown. Brown has 1,397 receiving yards through 13 games and will own the top 3 spots in team history for yardage in a single season, if he can get 2 yards over the final 3 games.
Whoa.
And I think that's a pretty strong possibility as long as Mike Vick is a healthy scratch.
I was waiting for your bomb. You got it.
But
He got it in there, Jim.
so, now getting back to some more humorous things in the NFL, you know, I think about the record of futility in the NFL, and the number is 26. And this reminds me of something Jim McKay, who was a very successful college football coach, University of Southern. Did he not coach O.J. Simpson at USC?
John McKay.
Yeah, or was that, yeah.
I thought he was. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think yeah.
So he got a head coaching job in the NFL with an expansion franchise, the Tampa Bay Bucks. And the Tampa Bay Bucks promptly lost their first 26 games. Now, one of the things about John McKay is that he was probably one of the greatest coaches for sound bites of anybody I ever heard. And I've watched some NFL films, and the one that strikes me the funniest that I still remember to this day. No, one of the announcer goes, the reporter goes to him. He goes, "So what do you think about your team's execution today?" He goes, "I'm all for it."
That's true.
So that was December 11th, 1977. The Tampa Bay Bucks finally earned their first NFL victory, crushing the New Orleans Saints 33-14. They'd lost their and that streak of futility still stands. Not even the illustrious Detroit Lions could come close to that one.
Shocking.
Now, they go from another example of futility, the lowest scoring game in NFL history. Well, that record happened, that happened twice, okay? Kerry Blanchard kicked a 45-yard field goal in the opening quarter, provides the lone offense as the Jets scraped past the Washington Redskins 3-0. This was on December 11th, 1993. It was the lowest scoring game in the NFL since New England defeated Miami 3-0 in 1982. So not only what did they say? Lightning struck twice.
Yeah.
So
it does. On Pittsburgh Sports.
Okay, now speaking of lowest scoring games, how about the lowest scoring NCAA basketball game? Because basketball season has started. Tennessee beat Temple in the lowest scoring NCAA basketball game since 1938. The final score of this game was 11-6.
What year?
December 15th, 1973.
Wow.
73.
That's amazing.
So
they didn't have peach baskets.
No, they did not. And after my criticism of the Pittsburgh Penguins and a young, and a certain superstar who doesn't perform, Patrick Kane had a 23-game point streak in the NHL, who was the last player to record a point in 25 consecutive games. That was before his concussion, none other than Sidney Crosby. Hasn't done it since. So, we do have to give him recognition for what he has done. And let's see what we got here. The only defensive player to win the Heisman Trophy. Still playing in the NFL, and he's one of the league leaders in interceptions this year.
Peyton Manning should have got it that year.
Charles Woodson of the Oakland Raiders. He's one.
It's amazing. Fountain of youth. He drinks green tea, smoking Jim.
And who beat out John Elway and Eric Dickerson to win the 1982 Heisman Trophy? Herschel Walker. That is correct. That's what I've got. One last thing. Neil Walker was traded from our Buccos. He got traded to the Mets. In his first full season at AAA Indianapolis, which was back in 2008, he was named the best defensive player that year. At what position?
That's catcher.
Third base.
Third base.
Neil Walker.
Neil Walker. Neil Walker, who's drafted out of high school as a catcher.
Yeah.
And he spent a couple of years languishing at the catcher's position. They asked him to move to third base. he came into the major leagues. He didn't become a second baseman until he got up into the bigs.
Yeah.
And Bill Mazeroski was instrumental in teaching him how to turn the double play.
Was he at in the minors at Altoona?
He would have been at Altoona.
Maybe that's where I got it from.
Well, he was a catcher in the minors. He was signed as a catcher. But
Just ask him what position he played on the football field. He'll tell you.
Wide receiver,
See?
brother. Great hands.
Chip, great trivia.
Great
One
job.
guy I wanted to put out for some research for another time for great quotes, Hank Stram.
Yeah,
Of the
yeah,
Kansas
yeah,
City
yeah,
Chiefs.
That's great.
They did special segments on him before
Yes,
they even
sir.
did stuff like that.
Yeah.
Hank Stram won Super Bowl IV.
Right.
Beat the Purple People Eater, Minnesota Vikings,
Yeah.
Exactly. One of my favorite
which
coaches.
was almost as big of an upset as the Jets
Jets.
beating the Colts the year before.
My dad still thinks that game was fixed.
Which one, the Jets and the
Yeah, he still thinks.
We'll have a special off-the-air show about why you have betting lines in Las Vegas on sports.
What do you have, the over?
All right. I go to my on locations. First, I want to promote, since we didn't have a cameraman here. I don't know if I should hold it up for Jack to go up close, or you'll pull it up. Who's going to pull that up? This is the Oaks Theater. It's the old Hollywood Christmas this Saturday night. We got Jessica Lee, Mark Strickland, Mike Clancy, Rick Laus, Glenn Ooch, and it's a food raiser. Bring your boxes of cereal, non-perishable boxes of cereal. Chip and Smoking Jim know that, so that means the one that you've eaten, go buy a new one. All right, bring that.
I told Steph, don't buy anything chocolate because it's never leaving the house.
Yeah, don't do that. So the guys are getting ready. Doors open at 6:30. There's a bar, there's food, there's drinks, there's free hand drum lessons, Smoking Jim. I'm not picking on him, folks, but he has 14 confirmed godchildren. It's down from 26 because now we verified that. This will be a great event, 7:30 to 9:30. And I've heard some of the practice songs that Jessica Lee plans on doing in the Christmas Story. They got a lot of people and kids. There'll be actors and actresses there. It should be a big production. Yes. Yeah, he's the guitar man. So he's.
And Jim, just a piece of advice to you, my friend, as godchildren of yours, don't buy them hand drums if you want to get a minute's peace.
I was trying to get him to get hand drums. Then I got one more promotion for one of the best caricature artists and painters in the area, Vince Ornato, the artist. Look at these caricatures he's done. And he'll be at Robinson Mall each weekend till Christmas. Check it out. Tell him the Talking Machine sent you, and Pittsburgh Sportsline believes in Vince, the artist, for caricatures. On location, I want to make a pretty big announcement. First, we're going to be at Hollywood Lanes. That's confirmed for sure, that the first of each month, first week. Then I was at Atria's PNC Park. I had a phone call with one of the partners, John Gagetta. We're going to be there the second and fourth week, so it'll be the 11th and 25th of January. So I'm proud to announce that, and we got a lot of great plans. I also have an open week on the third week. We're talking to a couple local places, and I even ran into a friend of mine that started a barbecue place, Smoking Jim, on South Side. So we may be traveling there, so stay tuned. I'm lining up some guests now, and we'll be out there and about. Remember, Hollywood Lanes up in Dormont on the 4th, so we'll see you there. That's our on-location report. We got so talkative on this. We got 20 minutes left. We got to talk Steelers, Penguins, and the Pirates for sure, with all the things going on. And Smoking Jim, you didn't give us a report on the Heisman. I thought you might have said, but you may have missed it with all your travels. And you're the happiest. I got to give my championship chase report. I missed the one last week, so I watched 2 in one day.
Oh, thank you, sir.
My mind is spinning. He's the happiest man in media. I call him the busiest man in media, so now I got to call him the happiest and busiest man in media. Then I found out, Chip, he keeps winning this belt, and he holds the belt like this. And he's always mentioning Gateway, even has nothing to do with anything.
You don't ever bet on him.
No, he can't. Nobody will take the bets. He's a season ticket holder, so they know he's there.
Call Pete Rose.
Yeah. But this
He knows the book.
championship chase is on like 3 different times. You can watch it 11 in the morning on Sunday.
Oh, thank you for
So
watching,
I'm
sir.
watching the show. It's a great show. It's very entertaining. I don't know if it's supposed to be that funny though. But I noticed the change, and I'm glad you have a sponsor like Progress. It's a great segment. And Liz Costa, I always appreciate what she does. Same with Ty Miller. My man Tom Plungin is unbelievable. If you want to see one of the smartest guys that gives you the insights on football, check out Tom Plungin.
No notes.
No notes. And he's getting to be more patient with our friend Ida, and guest of our show, who's very consistent in what she believes. She loves defense no matter what. So I watched the show. Brian Cook's even good in the locker room, so a lot of great people on that show. I'm a big fan of it. Maybe I could get on there. That's my pitch. Get me on there. We'll see. All right, enough playing around. Thanks for the prop. Thanks for the prop.
Al Levine, the talking machine.
So let's get into our Steelers talk.
Let's get right into that.
So, you know, I mean, there's a lot of shenanigans going on in the game, and, you know, it's probably reminds me of the old, and not to say old, but of the Baltimore Ravens games of a few years back when the Steelers and the Ravens were just knockdown, drag-out street fights. Yeah. A lot of stuff going on between whistles, before whistles, after whistles. You know, the one thing that really kind of bothered me about in the game, and there was no flags thrown, and I'm waiting to see if the NFL is going to fine the man for this, but
they're looking at it.
Yeah, perfect. Definitely went low on Ben, directly targeted his knees. He wasn't pushed into him. He dove at them. I know, and I thought that was something that was supposed to be a 15-yard penalty.
Chip, when it happened, here's what I thought was odd. I watched the play, and there's a big guy approaching Ben, one of his teammates, Burkett's teammate. He dove underneath a 300-pound guy. So when you say that he was pushed into him, nobody could see him. They were in contact with the lineman and Ben.
Yeah.
And he did come low. And because he's only 5'5", and I think he's lying by 2 inches, he fell short of Ben's knees. But it was right there. It could have been a bad injury.
But
it was that close.
You know, here's the thing. Nobody would even know who this guy is if he didn't do stuff like, you know, play dirty and, you know, make a big fuss after he injured Le'Veon Bell. But you know what?
Chip, he's been fined 4 times for $77,000. Isn't there also a rule in the NFL that you should be suspended because you're like habitual?
I don't know. And they never suspended. Did they suspend Harrison?
They talked about it.
Yeah,
well, they kept upping his fines until he found out he could appeal, and then they lowered it.
But I mean, you know, we went back to Cincinnati, and it seems to be something that's, you know, we seem to do with all kinds of frequency, and you know, we beat Cincinnati in Cincinnati.
Right.
You know, the Red Rifle got silenced pretty quickly, trying to tackle Stephon Tuitt after he basically handed him the ball. You know,
what a move by Tuitt to be that big, to be able to reach down, make the step with the ball. I'm like, just go down. Please don't run with that ball.
You know, but, you know, and I think now we've got Cincinnati's excuse for losing their first playoff game because Andy Dalton's going to come back with a sore thumb, and he's not going to be able to get the zip on the ball. So that'll be the reason why he throws 4 picks in their opening round loss. But that's nothing new.
Like
that's what Cincinnati does. That's what Cincinnati does. Now, the Steelers, everybody says this is the one team that nobody wants to see in the playoffs. And you want to know what? Nobody may see them in the playoffs because right now they're on the outside looking in. The Jets.
If they lose, they're out.
The Jets and the Chiefs are ahead of them. And if the Jets and Chiefs win out and we win out, we make it. We're out of it.
No, we make it. They did it. The Jets, we would actually, because we beat them, we would have the advantage. Okay. That's how I looked at it because I thought that at first too. We have to win
the only
rest
reason
of
why
our
they're
games.
ahead of us is because of their interconference record.
And if we win,
I get it.
And this is still an if, but since we won, we're going to the Super Bowl. We will win 3 games, and that gets us in. That takes all the tiebreakers.
Now, do you guys think there's a chance that Denver will beat the Steelers?
Of course there's a chance because, you know, when the Steelers start looking like they're starting to get on a roll, They have a tendency to lay an egg. Now, I thought that I watched the Oakland-Denver game, and I thought Ostweiler had done a pretty nice job up to that point of running Denver's offense. I don't know, Denver was not able to block Khalil Mack. He had 5 sacks in the second half, 1 safety. I mean, you know, the guy was just unbelievable. I saw him go at the offensive lineman. He went at this guy, he bull rushed him, both hands to his chest. The guy went straight over back and landed on his shoulder pads on his back on his way to the quarterback. And I mean, that was not a running back he flattened. It was an offensive lineman. Guy was just a beast.
But Jarvis Jones is not a Khalil Mack, so they don't have to worry about the lineman on that.
And you want to know what? The Steelers probably could have drafted Khalil Mack and took Jarvis Jones instead.
Yeah, no doubt. But Smoking Jim has no input, so we understand that. It's
but
rare.
you know, I mean, you know, Denver's got a very solid running game, and you know, we'll see if Peyton Manning plays. Peyton's going to be practicing this week, and you know, I actually think that Denver's a better team without him at quarterback.
I hope Peyton Manning plays because his career is almost over, and the Steelers do need a win. I predict a win. Steelers will beat them. It doesn't matter what they do right now. They're still going to be positive because I know Tomlin's giving them a pep talk. We can remain thugs and get away with it. So let's do it. And parity in the NFL is alive. And the Steelers are getting hot at the right time. Ben is healing up. So you can see how he's moving a little. He's ran the play a couple times each week. So, and he looks like a lumbering Mack truck, you know, that's out of gas. But he got the first down each time. He's one of the best quarterbacks ever with what he's done. Brady gets hit or almost gets hit, and there's a 15-yard penalty. I'm a true believer that they just think Ben's so strong it doesn't matter what they do to him.
Well,
they're prejudiced.
You guys have been watching football a long time. Have you ever seen quieter 10 receptions than Heath Miller? Just proving what we've been saying all along that Heath Miller can get open anytime he wants to. That's like easy 10 yards.
It's easy pickings.
At the end of the game when they said he had.
Not me. I count each one a Heath because I'm a huge Heath fan.
But I mean,
I say he should have been getting this all the time.
Exactly.
For him to only get 10 again and tie his lifetime mark, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That play is open all day long, and if they start to cover him, the wide receivers are wide open.
And to be honest with you, Heath Miller, not only can he catch, I mean, he's probably the most complete tight end in the NFL.
His blocking.
Because his block, he's like having a sixth offensive lineman.
No, wait.
On, man.
His blocking frees up so many guys.
I love him too. I love him.
You don't think he
You
can
ain't
block?
giving him no
I
love?
love him. I love him.
Smoking Jim's getting great. He starts with the love fest. Now he's saying he can't
I
block.
love him. He can block, but come on now. He's former college quarterback. He blocks like a former college quarterback.
It doesn't matter. He does knock some people down. He's bigger than he was when he was a college quarterback.
Yeah, some people.
And stronger.
So you know what I mean, and so you know the Steelers they beat the if they beat Denver this week, you know I think one of the games they're going to trip and stumble on. They're going to lose to either a Baltimore team that they got no business losing to, or their little idiot Johnny
If Denver
Football.
beats the Steelers, would they have more all-time wins since 1970,
No.
since the merger?
No.
Or
You
just
missed the
because?
point.
And no, we had 4.
Math was not a strong suit for you at Gateway
I knew
Homeschool.
it was close. I knew they
No,
were
it's
in
like
the
we got
four.
about a 6-game cushion right now,
Woo!
unless they beat us 6 times.
Using Gateway Math from Smoking Jim. Chip, it's possible.
Because you know we won
Don't
last
tell
week and they
anybody.
lost, so we went up one more on them. So.
Yeah. One more on, okay? On them. That's what it is. I'm glad we got Math straightened out.
All
For
right,
the
so-
Steelers, what do you think, Chip? They going to win?
I have a feeling, yes, they are going to win. You know, I think if the Steelers can continue playing a balanced offense like they have been, Ben just has too many weapons. Denver does have the best defense in football, but, you know, the makeshift offensive line, you know, they lost 40% of their offensive line. They're still keeping people off of Ben.
Sanders get 100? He said Peyton Manning is the hardest working quarterback he's ever been around.
Well, sure, because he's throwing him the ball and he can catch since he got to Denver. He couldn't catch in Pittsburgh. Smoking Jim, what's your prediction? Oh, no, I don't want you because you go in championship chase. Don't do that. They might watch. You don't have to predict.
No, he'll just pick both sides. He'll be right on one of the shows.
No, here. And if they watch on Championship Chase, for some reason they let Smoking Jim
Pick last.
last. It's amazing. It's amazing. We got to start doing that on this show. Pick first.
So next we're going to go into an abbreviated Penguins segment. Penguins, the teams need some direction. It needs some guidance. Need to see some leadership. And leadership's got to come from the star players, and it hasn't. Here's the thing that confuses me. You got Chris Letang, who had problems with concussions last year. Now he's out indefinitely. He's on injured reserve with another concussion. And I said this at the end of last year, at the beginning of this year. Chris Letang is one concussion away from, his career ending.
Sure.
And, he's going to have to start thinking about that. He's got a wife. He's got a family. Bo Bennett did what Bo Bennett does. He plays one good game, and then he ends up on the injured reserve for 4 to 6 weeks. He got flattened by TJ Yoshi last night of the Washington Capitals. But here's the thing that confuses me. Now, Marc-Andre Fleury played goaltender last night. Okay, in the game, halfway through the third period, Penguins were only down 2-1. Marc-Andre Fleury's playing a pretty good game. He gets beat a couple of times late in the third period. We lose 4-1. Now it's reported that Marc-Andre Fleury is out for at least 2 weeks with a concussion. So one of the sports writers asked, well, did he get that concussion in last night's game? No, we don't know when it happened.
The game before.
Well, how do you not know when it happened? I mean, either got hit in the head or he didn't get hit in the head. I mean, you're telling me that you're not paying that much attention to your players when they're out on the... So who knows? So what did he do? Did he play the game in a coma and just happen to get in the way of pucks or whatever? I mean, it just goes to show you, speaks to the mismanagement of this team. It's like, it's like the Keystone Cops.
Well, the only thing I can say, Chip, is before they had this protocol, I know players that played great with concussions over the years, and a lot of people did. Everybody was almost concussed because the helmet you had, I know when I played, they just started with the air and water, and sometimes they'd be deflated. So you were playing with a helmet that was...
Oh, like Bill Belichick get hold of him.
Yeah, well, it was just natural. Yeah, Smoking Jim will tell you. But there were concussions people can't perform, and they have over the years. It's what happens after that. That's what they're looking at. And you can become... Look at Hoyer. Brian Hoyer, just to go to football, his career might be over.
Yes, because he's had 2 concussions in the last month.
30 days.
And I understand that once you start with concussions, that getting more concussions becomes easier.
You were a lawyer in the movie.
Yeah, and you know what? You shouldn't have... Football's not good for anybody. Yeah, if they go by what these protocols and everything are, you're going to have very few people playing football anymore.
No, they will always... That's my
You're just opinion.
That's my entertainment.
Yeah,
They're a piece of meat.
They're going to have flag football for you.
As long as it's in lingerie.
He's put up a few of those. But no, it is sad with Fleury, because what happens when these guys run into the goaltender? That's when I think it happened.
But my point is, if you don't even know when the guy got concussed.
Because they don't have the same protocol as the NFL, because they didn't get in trouble yet.
You're supposed to have medical staff. You're supposed to be watching what happens in the game. That's what your total focus is supposed to be on. And things are happening in the game that you didn't see.
They're worried about getting the player stitched up and get him back out there. Look, when a guy gets hit in the leg, the guy's leg's almost broken. They go, look, he can't even walk off the ice. 10 minutes later, a guy comes back on. I don't even want to know what they do. I just think it's just
They strap a steel rod next to it, tape it up, and send it back out.
Yeah, and I don't know if they still have Novocaine
So we're winding down pretty close here. And there's been some movement on the Pirates. The winter meetings. Some trades have been made. Neil Walker got traded to the New York Mets for starting left-handed pitcher, which, at the end of the day, if you think about the trade made sense. Some changes did need to happen. What's that?
You'll never knock the Pirates.
Oh, yeah, I will. Okay, when they start losing again. Okay? The fact of the matter is, they've got the winning formula, and they're putting a winning product on the field, and they're going to continue to do so moving forward. And then, in the foreseeable future, I don't see them being a losing baseball team. No. Well, here's the thing that kills me is that he tried to say that, they couldn't come to an agreement. Well, 2 years ago, they offered him a 3-year contract extension for $27 million, and he turned that down. I mean, and this was after the problems that he's had with his back and his history of injuries. So, you know what? I mean, I think that was a pretty fair offer that was made. He turned it down. But you know what? You move on past that because you have to don't think about what's best for Neil Walker or anything else. You have to think about what's best for the team moving forward. Neil was only going to be here for the rest of this year because, he wasn't going to sign with us. So why not get something back for him? And starting pitching, you can't ever have enough of that. Now, there was still going to be some moves to be made. Charlie Morton got traded to the Phillies? Philadelphia Phillies. Yes. No, we've got relief pitchers.
We need starting pitchers, buddy.
We need starting pitchers.
You know what? Those lessons you learned in baseball faded.
Charlie Morton, as we know what we're going to get with Charlie Morton. I was a huge Charlie Morton fan. Some of the nastiest stuff I've ever seen a pitcher throw. But
when he
had problems up here. It wasn't mechanics. It wasn't, for whatever reason, he overthought things. And you know what? Charlie Morton wasn't going to be any more than what Charlie Morton is. And you know what? The Pirates need a better
well, he was too streaky. You get 1 or 2 games, then you get 3 or 4 where you had to sit him down or send him down.
Well, generally what would happen to him is he'd pitch 4 or 5 good innings, and whether it was the first inning he'd give up 9 runs, or the 5 or 6 runs he'd give up in the 5th or 6th inning, but he always had that 1 inning that would do him in. Now the Pirates also have on the horizon Jameson Taillon, who's now completely healthy and is going to work his way probably into the major league rotation by mid-June. You got Tyler Glasnow, who's the #1 rated prospect in the Pirates minor league system. He's not far from making it up. So they've got some young arms getting ready to come in and supplement the pitching staff. I still believe that they're going to sign a free agent, starting pitcher.
You're the only one who believes
He's
maybe on here, but we need some hitters too.
We
need somebody that can hit a home run.
We've got to have a solution to our problems at first base. Now, Michael Morse, right now, as it stands, is our starting first baseman. I don't believe that he's an everyday starting first baseman.
We lost 40 home runs. Where are we going to replace the 40 home runs from Pedro and Walker? We don't have it.
We're playing small ball, and we'll be fine. Singles, steals.
I knew that would shut you up. I knew you had the
ball. You know what? I mean, right now, to answer that question, actually, we've got those home runs in the lineup. They just haven't been producing. You're telling me that Marte can't hit more than 18 home runs in a season? I bet you Marte's going to hit 30 home runs very soon. Polanco's a guy that's going to get you 20, 25 home runs, and he's just learning how to play the position. Gong has got a nice stick. He's been putting the ball in the
healthy.
Josh Bell will get you some.
You know what? When he's ready, and you can't. The biggest mistake that you can make is rushing somebody too soon to the majors.
You saw it with your hero, MVP.
Except Pedro Alvarez.
Guys, we're going to have to end it. It's been an interesting night. Thanks, Smoking Jim Frazier. Thanks, Chip Hayner. I appreciate it. And thanks all of you for watching us. Verizon 32 everywhere. Comcast 7 only in Bethel Park. Thanks again for all the people that have liked and watched us later on. We appreciate it. Thanks for Devin Shea, Dave Cable, and Jack was in here doing a great job. We're out of time, Jack. Stay Joey strong.